In this screencast, we're going to look at cropping and any kind of major retouching that needs to be done to the image. This is the first step in our Photoshop workflow. Now I have an image open here, and I'm going to zoom in, which is Command plus. And when I do that, you can see that my camera is extremely dirty when I did this. There's all these dust spots on here. Now the reason why you might want to think about cropping first is that sometimes you will crop out items that you end up spotting. So you've taken time to spot all that, and then you're going to crop it. So you might as well crop first and then spot in areas that need to be done. So to do that, I'm going to go over to my Tools palette. I'm going to go to my Crop tool right here, and it automatically puts a handles around the Crop tool here. And I also want to make sure that I have my Crop tool set for unconstrained. But you can, if you need to, set this to a specific ratio of cropping if you know you have a specific size. I don't, so I'm going to leave it unconstrained. And one thing is you want to make sure that this delete cropped pixel box is not checked. That way this will be a non-destructive edit, so you can come back later and recrop if you need to. I'm going to put this on a new layer, so I'm going to go down to the bottom here. I'm going to use this little icon right here. I'm going to click this, I'm going to call this new layer, and I'm going to rename it. And to rename it, I just double click on the name, and I'm going to type Major Retouch. Okay, so I want everything done to that layer. Now I just simply take my Crop tool and I just move these handles in an appropriate way here, so I can crop this image the way I want it. So maybe I want to do something like that. Okay. Okay. And I simply go up here, and there are these three icons on the side here. This will revert it, this will cancel, and this will set the crop. So I can either check that or simply hit return as well. And you can see that now image is cropped. And if I go back, I can go up here, I can simply go back and click on it again, and you can see I have my original image there. I haven't lost any pixels. That's why it's non-destructive. Okay. So that's the crop I made on here. Now I'm going to go in and choose either my clone tool, which is right here, or a tool I like to use a lot is the Spot Healing Brush tool. Now this doesn't work all the time for some of these spots, so you might have to clone sometime, but let's see how to do that. So I'm going to zoom in again, and you really should zoom in here at least 100% when you do this. So there I am at 100%, and you can see these dust spots that are still here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Spot Healing tool, and I'm going to make sure that all sample all layer box is checked. And by default you also have content aware checked, and that's what you want. And I simply just take my brush size. When I can change my brush size by the left and right bracket keys. The right bracket key makes it larger, the left bracket key makes it smaller. And I simply go over it and I just click and drag it across like so, and you can see that it takes that right out. Where I might get into a little problem here is up when I'm near the edges. So let me show you how to use the clone tool. So I select that. What you do is you set the same thing. You set the size of your brush by the left and right bracket keys. And then what you want to do is you want to sample an area. So to do that, you hold the Option key down, and when you do that, you see it turns into a crosshair, and you click that area near where you want to clone, and then simply take the brush, hold it over the area you want, and click. Okay, let me see if I can find some other ones here. Here's none. Click there. Okay, you can see how that's taking those spots out like that. Now, you notice that when I just did that one, I'm still selecting from the same area. And that's because this Align Sample is not checked. If I check this now, as I move my clone tool, and let me make a new sample here so I can show you. As I move this, you can see that it moves with the brush. When it's not checked, I'm going to click here, and you can see it's always going to stay in that one area. So I typically like to have this Align Sample box checked. Okay, so I'm going to go through and let me go back to my Spot Healing Brush. I'm just going to click on this, and you can see down here, and I'm going to use my navigator or my scroll button on my mouse to just scroll around here and just look at all this. Now you can see down here, there's one. Now that's going to get me in trouble with my spot healing. I'll show you. Go in here, you can see it made that. It samples areas around it and then blends those images. So it sampled some of the rock area, which I don't want. So I can either do Command Z to back up one step, or I can go into my history palette and back up. And this is where I want to go into my clone tool. I'm going to go in here, and you can see it's sampling now. I'm going to hit my Option key. I'm going to go down here, and I'm just going to go just like that. And that's how I can take that out. Okay, so that's what you want to do for the first step, is to, see this is really dusty here, is to do any kind of cloning or spot healing or any kind of cropping first, and then we'll move on to the next step.